she is a lawyer.
Yeah.
She apparently didn't look at any of the facts or the evidence of the case before she commented.
Yeah, I mean, she may not be limited to fists, but she's clearly limited because that is just a complete, it's just a countermand of everything that went on in the courtroom. The idea that she can argue that the size of the knife, which is not in dispute, it was recovered. The fact that she could somehow argue that because of its size, it can't be considered a deadly weapon, which is what she was doing there, despite the fact that it killed the victim. I mean, it's just a basic algebraic logic here. Now, look, there's no winners in this story. We've all been through that aspect of it. I don't understand what was on. According to all the reporting, this kid, Karmelo, had a job. He had a good grade point average. He came from a good family. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but the facts have spoken. He went into the tent. He has a knife for some reason in a bag. Remember, under Texas law, there's two metrics here that matter. Number one, you can't use self-defense if you provoke the incident, all right? That part maybe succeeded, maybe failed. We don't know what the jury thought. But the second piece, and that's kind of what she's talking about here, definitely failed, which is that your reaction has to be commensurate to the threat that you perceive. And that's going to be an objective standard. You just can't say, the guy was white and he was big, so I thought he was going to kill me. No, the facts have to matter. And then you stab the guy in the chest. Now let's go real quick to the appeal. The appeal is going to center on, it's going to be due process stuff, Miranda, they always throw that in. But what it's going to come down to is the following. Did the exemption of the 3 black females who were educators, was that cover just to get 3 blacks off the jury? That's it. If the argument of the prosecution, which was, no, we didn't want teachers, if that holds the day, then the appeal will fail. And know that the appeals courts generally give great deference to the trial court judge in making that assessment. That's the assessment that the trial court judge would have done. He would have said, is this a ruse? Are they just trying to get rid of 3 black jurors? And the way that they look at that is to say, are there similarly situated people who are on the jury? That is to say, a white teacher, an Asian teacher, et cetera. Short of that, I expect the appeal to fail. I have questions, though. I wonder, was there a plea offer? You didn't get a lot of character stuff. And I go back to what I opened this segment with, which I'm sorry, but I just got to go to it. I don't understand. The kid, from all intents, had a great life ahead of him. What was he thinking? What's he walking around with a knife at a track meet? That aspect of it, I have to say, tugs at me a little bit. I find it a mystery.
And the defense, Jessica, didn't really seem to do that great a job.
No,
They didn't even call anybody.
No, and then, I mean, to your point, which you already brought up of the character witnesses, where he just had his mother, and for like 10 minutes, he had a fully intact family with a dad who's out there advocating for him in press conferences, doing interviews. Like, why didn't we at least hear from both of his parents? He was a good kid, part of this team, you know, friends from school, his employer, right? He shows up all the time, you know, on time for work, treats people with respect, you know, the usual stuff that you would expect, especially when someone is looking at potentially spending 35 years behind bars. I was curious as well about whether there was a plea offer of manslaughter involved in this, where I think you said the maximum would be 20 years, and then maybe he's getting out in 10 to 12 years with good behavior, and then he still has his life ahead of him, right? He's going to be in his early 30s. The jury selection question will definitely be the linchpin of where this goes. If we find out, and people are saying it was an all-white jury, it wasn't an all-white jury. There were Asian people and Latino people on the jury. But if they find that there was someone who is either an educator or in a profession akin to an educator that didn't get pushed off the jury, to then make sure that there were no black people on the jury, obviously that could take us down a different path. I'm also curious about the videos. We've heard about the one that allegedly showed, because we haven't seen any of this, that you know, Karmelo Anthony was really the instigator, that he wasn't surrounded. There's also an eyewitness who has been talking about a video circulating on the internet that he saw that Karmelo Anthony was surrounded.
Yeah.
And so.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.